Welcome to Down the Barrel Podcast with Jimmy and Dino. Get ready to dive into the wild world of Minnesota hunting, trapping, and wildlife. We'll be chatting with some folks who protect, manage, and promote the great outdoors. But don't worry, we'll also have some laughs as we chat about guns, whiskey, and anything else that catches our eye. So grab a drink, sit back, and get ready for a good time. Down the Barrel Podcast is brought to you by the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association
and wolf.report. Wolf.report, a platform dedicated to elevating the voices of Minnesota hunters, trappers, and outdoor enthusiasts. Join us in advocating for responsible wolf management in Minnesota. Share your reports, photos, and stories, and together we will ensure that they are seen by all.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association, protecting the future of deer and deer hunting through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and wolf.report proudly sponsor this podcast. However, please note that the opinions, topics, and guests featured may not necessarily align with the views, beliefs, goals, or mission of our sponsors.
All right, so today we're here talking with Neal Tacheny, the Assistant Director of Deep Portage Learning Center.
How's it going, Neal?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for coming down.
Up. Yeah, up. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we have Jared with us. He's gonna join in today.
Yeah. I work a lot with our different Forkhorn camps around the state, so figured I'd be in on this conversation as I've got to know Neal a little bit. So
yeah, awesome. No, it's pretty cool. Glad to have you guys. So Neal, you're the man of the hour, and so why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us, how you kind of got into it, or
where are you from?
I grew up in White Bear Lake. Go Bears. The tragedy of the state high school tournament about a month ago. I know I'm in hostile territory right now.
Yes, you are.
Don't think I didn't throw a TV remote across the room. So I actually had a cabin growing up about 30 minutes north of here. And so I spent all my summers and falls and a lot of winter doing all kinds of outdoor stuff. But I knew the cities wasn't for me, so I continued to move north after I graduated high school. And I ended up at Bemidji State. Go Beavers.
Go Beavers.
That's right. Terrific wildlife program. I went to a school for wildlife management just to kind of get my foot in the door. I didn't really know what I really wanted to do until, I finally got an internship with the DNR, actually doing fishing camps when I was in college and teaching fishing ecology. And I just had a lot of fun. And I remember my supervisor in the summer going, "You can make a career out of this. You're pretty good at this." And like that's an achievable goal. And I thought, really? And so I didn't know too much about it. So I went back to school and I had a really good college advisor. And I said, "Hey, I had this great internship this summer. What's next?" He said, "Oh, you got to check out Deep Portage. I used to work there. It's a great place to go. They teach you how to teach. You're going to be with kids all the time." So that's kind of got how I became an educator instead of a scientist. Math was not kind to me in college or in high school. Either was the chemistry department, and you kind of identify what you're good at in those 4 years. And that's I identified what I was not good at. But teaching was something that I really found out I liked to be with kids. I did a lot of coaching in college and baseball at the high school level, and thought, hey, this is something I enjoy. I actually like doing this, so I stuck with it. I've been at Deep Portage this will be my 10th summer. It's 2014, right out of college is when I started. And I started as a summer camp counselor, just thought that would be the only summer I was ever going to be there. I had a great time teaching the Forkhorn camps and all the stuff Deep Portage had. And I remember at the end of the summer just going, holy smokes, this is quite the opportunity to learn how to grow and be an educator and stuff. But then I got a phone call, say, hey, we're looking for a range master next summer at Deep Portage. So I quickly became the shooting director as well right after that. So I spent a few summers, I think it was 3 or 4, running our shooting range. And then I tried to leave, and then it lasted about 6 months, and I got another call. I said, hey, we're going to look for a new assistant director and some new positions. What do you think about running summer camps? And I said, okay, I'll stop working at Target. I'll come back. So that's where I've been since 2019 again. So it's been a great opportunity. Again, assistant director, but also I run summer camps. And I kind of run our maintenance at the moment, kind of keeping up with some things. But hands are all over the place at Deep Portage. It's a great place to work.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Solid. So what year did you graduate from BSU?
2014.
Wow, I'm old. I can say when I graduated.
Yep.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Even since I was there, it's new halls, new wings, new buildings.
Yeah.
Did you ever hang out in the library upstairs overlooking the lake? That's probably why I didn't do so well.
Look at this guy. Do you think he spent any time in the library?
I did go to the library.
The science sat gas hall, the science wing is right on the lake. You're 10 feet away.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I did spend a lot of time there.
And that's where all the ducks hang out. And that's a problem. You're just, I'm going to go study. And you're just looking at ducks for 2 hours later. And oh my goodness, where'd the time go? But for people who haven't been there, it's such a terrific school. And my college roommate was the one who would plow the parking lot out in front of Satgas and Haig-Sauer Hall at the time. So the lake right there, if people didn't know, is like 10 feet from the door.
I used to park on the lake.
So we'd give him a case of beer and he'd go plow a huge parking lot and kept everybody happy. I never paid for parking, and the 2 years I lived off campus, and it was a great time. Yeah. So it was like the competition, what college kid's going to fall through the ice first, go over Diamond Point instead of the south side. And,
over those ice heaves to get to class.
Yep. So, when I toured Bemidji when I was in high school, I remember I actually became friends with the tour guide later on because of this, but he was a huge angler, and he knew the kids coming to campus, and he's like, hey, that's where you catch all the muskies. The walleyes are over there. There's like 100 different good crappie lakes up here, the duck migration. I'm like, see you in 4 years, Mom. Leave me here. But I went to school, I promise, made the dean's list. But that was when I started actually going more hunting, doing more fishing, was when I actually got better grades. So funny how that works.
No doubt.
Yeah, that didn't work for me.
Or me. I did get good grades.
Jared, how about you?
Yeah, I got good grades.
Wow. I feel like I guess we're on the opposite side of the table.
Yeah, we are on the opposite side. The smart people are on that side.
Yep. It's fitting. It really is.
Yeah. The class system is alive and well in this office.
It really is, honestly.
Yep.
The dean's list is on that side, and the deans are on this side.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I failed 2 classes, so I can join. But after that, I got my head straight and figured it out. But
I started the very first year. I think my advisor was one of our professors, and he goes, I failed my first semester at college, and my director had a talk with me, so I'm gonna have the same talk with you. So we sat down and talked, and it's like, yep, okay, I better straighten up, and started doing better, and did fairly well, so it worked out.
Wow.
Yeah,
I went to the counselor once at BSU. I thought they were gonna help me out and figure out my academics to help me out.
They pretty much said, get out.
No, it turns out I was at the wrong kind of counselor. They started asking me if I was suicidal. Swear to God. I was in the waiting room filling out this questionnaire, and I'm like,
son,
this does not seem right. No, I'm not suicidal. I need help with my classes. I went to the wrong damn place.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
Yeah, but anyway, back to Neal.
Yeah, so Deep Portage. So where is that located for those who don't know?
It's about 8 miles east of Hackensack, Minnesota. That's still about 10 miles south of Longville, Minnesota. Right. So right smack right between those two. It's a 6,307 acre conservation reserve. That's called the Deep Portage Conservation Reserve, the forest. And it's strictly managed by Cass County Land Department. There's a few chunks of state land, but it was set aside to do exactly what we do. Back in 1973, I believe, when it was fully ratified, there were some plans beforehand, but it's quite the history. In the 1940s, there was a forester named Fay Harrington who was cruising timber. He was actually a World War II vet, and he came back into the forestry department and said, hey, this place, this land isthmus, the glacial hills, the till, all the forests are pretty unique. And I think his words are actually somewhat unique. And he was a part of a local chapter called the Isaac Walton League, which is a nationwide foundation. They're huge. They're not as big as they once were, of course, in their prime, but they've set up places like the Boundary Waters. They've set up national parks. So a very prominent organization. But they got together, the local Ikes chapter, and said, let's do something with this place, with this land. And it was actually, there was rumors going about that it was going to become a snowmobile testing facility. And Fay, being a forester, and others being conservationists, said, hey, we can use this forest for more than that. We can use it for hunting, we can use it for fishing, outdoor education, and timber sales. So let's get the revenue going. Let's get this forest where it needs to be. So they got it approved. And in 1973 was their first year of having this approved forest out in the woods. I think that some of the people used to call it that darn park out in the woods. Park is a harsh word. So it was a group of conservationists and people who cared about hunting and fishing and hiking and all ecological forms of life to provide education for that for kids. So it's always been the goal. So it's a pretty cool forest. Cass County, like I said, is the land department that they manage the timber sales. So it's actively managed. It is a working forest. So they manage for young aspen, they manage for different wildlife, and of course their sales. So we are a foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit, Deep Portage Learning Center. So we're not a part of the county, but the building is a county building. So it's just a very unique partnership with our local county and government to keep it operating and keep it running.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. 6,300 acres. That's quite the chunk. You guys have a couple lakes on there, don't you?
There's, I forget the actual amount of lakes, but like 9 lakes or something along it. Yeah. So Deep Portage gets its name from, there's 2 systems of lakes that are all connected via the Boy River. So it's, there's Big Deep Lake, which we're on. It's big and it's deep. That's where it's 110 feet deep. That's where the kids go fishing. And we have a river system. They go down to Blind Lake and Little Boy Lake. We canoe them down the scenic river there. On the south side, there's like Rice Portage, Big Portage, Deep Portage Lake. On the west side, there's some other small bodies of water too. So, yeah, I think out of the 6,307 acres, there's only close to about 300 you cannot hunt. That's because we have programming during deer season. We have a group of Chaska 6th graders that comes, but that's it. The rest of it is fully accessible to that kind of activity.
I know you guys allowed hunting there. Mm-hmm. Is that for public use then?
Yes, since it's we always tell the kids, whoever it is, and they come, who do you think owns this? Like, who do you think owns this? Like, I don't know, someone, I don't know, you do. I'm like, everybody here does. We all have one equal share, so we all get to use this place. So, yep, hunting is allowed, whatever the state and local level regulations are. So it's really fun.
Awesome.
Huh, that would be cool. I know I've driven, once you get off the highway and drive all the way back in there, it is really pretty, and it's a unique road goes back there, and then all of a sudden it opens up, and these beautiful buildings and everything. It's a really neat facility.
Yeah, it's a neat place for sure.
Yeah. So I think the main building has been around since 1987, I believe, but they had a smaller building that's still standing that they were running programming out of in the 80s. And then it just kind of blew up in the 80s and 90s, and there was a big surge. And then they added on to the building in the 2000s. And so it's kind of a transition period with our director and our leadership and our board right now. So it's a really exciting time. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary last year at a big party. And of course, it was supposed to be in late April, a beautiful day, and it snowed 10 inches the day before. We all remember last winter there. I was just telling kids today, I'm like, hey, there was like 2 feet of snow on the ground this day last year. This was insane. And, it's kind of looking forward to the next 50 years and what that's going to be like.
Yeah. So do you have kids down there right now? Are you doing programming right now?
Yep, we do programming year round. The only really breaks we get are Thanksgiving, like 2 weeks in the winter during Christmas time and New Year's, and maybe a week or 2 in March. And then we use, conveniently, we have 2 weeks in March off if people have to reschedule due to snowstorms and weather-related events, or hey, something comes up. And so no one came this year on spring break because we didn't have to reschedule anybody, except the first Monday after spring break, we got 20 inches of snow and the school canceled. That was convenient.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what all does, Deep Portage do? I mean, some of the program that you guys do, we mentioned Forkhorn a little bit earlier, but
yeah, the Learning Center, the foundation, our main mission is to supply outdoor education, outdoor programming, whether it be, traditional physical activities or ecological classes, biology terms. That's what we specialize in at the campus there. During the school year, again, September through May is our school year. So we're having schools anywhere from, the majority of them are 5th and 6th graders, but we have 2nd, 3rd graders that come from different communities and high schoolers. And whatever the season allows, that's what we do. So we try to get them outside as much as possible, try to get them off their phones. I had a funny kid last week on Earth Day. He's like, I'm going to celebrate Earth Day, but not playing video games. And I have nothing against video games, but it's like, nice. That's what we're doing. You won't see those for a couple of days. But so in the fall, we're canoeing or out looking at why leaves fall off trees. Maybe we're doing some birding in the fall, archery that we can get to. And then wintertime, when we get the snow, cross country skiing for sure. That's what we're doing. So, Yeah, and in wintertime, hopefully we get the snow. I know there wasn't much this year, but cross country skiing is a big one. That's what schools really want to do: get the cross country ski gear out. And we have a small ski trail around campus, about a mile long. We ski on the pond with the kids. We groom it, so it's classic skiing with your traditional track system. Snowshoeing, of course, there's no better way to tire out a group of 12-year-old children than put the snowshoes on and say, run. There's nothing better than after a long day of snowshoeing with the kids. They get to do that a little more in school, but they don't have the depths of snow. Sometimes we do it come January and February. So it's fun to actually use your snowshoes. And it's funny when kids get snowshoes on because you're like, these aren't working. I'm still going through the snow. And I'm like, let's take them off and let's go try that. And so that's a really unique opportunity for them to see why, hey, this is why some animals do better in the snow than others. Humans are like deer going through the snow, punching holes. And then, snowshoe hares, they don't always go on the snow, but they can glide better, just like snowshoes. So, and then spring, we get the canoes back out, the archery gear, and talk about, hey, what are trees doing this time of year? What kind of frogs are out? We do frog calling with the kids and all kinds of ecology classes. Birding is a big one again in the spring. And then summer camp is summer camp. So that's just another whole beast I'm sure we're going to get into, but I'll save it for the next segment. But yeah.
So are most of the school, I'm sure it's schools all over Minnesota?
Yes. Right now, we have kind of the Sauk Rapids area. They've been coming forever. We get city schools. We get schools all across the North Country. We get a school that literally can see Canada from like their front windows. So all over the state, like I said, not many second, third graders. There's one specific school, but again, it's about 90% fifth and sixth graders that come through all over the state.
And they just come for the day and then take off?
It's overnight, actually. Yeah. Really? So the local schools, I'd say, the very local schools come for day trips more often just because it's more feasible for them. But it's often a 3-day, 2-night experience we provide.
Oh, wow.
And you do that with second and third graders?
Yes.
Wow.
More parents come on that trip.
I would imagine.
There's a little more tears at night.
Yeah, no doubt. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. So as far as funding goes, are you mostly based off program revenue, or do you get, I'm assuming your foundation does fundraising. Do you get any funding from the county with that partnership?
We get a little bit of everything, and most of it is program funding. Yeah, it's program expenses. So we have our budget, and then we got to stick to the budget, of course, like any nonprofit. But most of it, or if not all of it, comes from that. But we do have a really good donor base that supports keeping costs low. So that's what we say. Our donors really help out in keeping costs low with all the kids. But not the county. That's a different story. So they may help us with some building projects time to time, but they don't subsidize the program by any means. So, but yeah, we take money, grants we apply for all the time and are getting grants, and but mostly program fees and donors.
Really? So with all the timber sales and stuff that goes on there, that all goes straight to the county. You don't see any of that.
Whatever the county land department does, that goes to their bank.
Come on, Cass County.
They do a good job.
Come on, dude. Talk to your county, would you?
I'm in the wrong township. I'm way up. No, I'm almost Itasca, but I'm on the far northern edge. So,
because I know when we drove through that road, there was quite a few clear cuts.
And what's cool about Cass County, this is I'm a big birder, so I have to elicit my bird knowledge on you. Is golden wing warblers were becoming very rare, very rapidly throughout the state and throughout the country. And Cass County is a stronghold. Like they're growing in population because of the cuts that Cass County has done. And if you're a grouse hunter, a woodcock hunter, white-tailed deer, with snowshoe hare, they like you too. So they've done a really good job with that. So maintaining that part. So
awesome, pretty cool. So do you hunt out there at all?
I do. Yep.
Deer? Obviously, you're a bird hunter.
I weirdly enough, I don't deer hunt. My grandfather was a huge deer hunter, and he had deer camp for 50 years just north of here, actually, but right by Big Fork. And it wasn't for me. I've never tried it, but I love deer camp. I love going to deer camps. I've been to many deer camps. I have some very good memories at deer camp with our neighbors and friends and families alike. But I stick to bird hunting, and so that's duck hunting and pheasants and grouse and woodcock. I like my targets moving with wings, coming fast. And
So is there pheasants down there?
There is not. Nope, too forested. A lot of turkeys. Yep, really? A lot of turkeys.
We should go turkey hunt down there.
Can you hunt for turkeys down there?
Yeah. Yep, public land. So it's all Cass County. A lot of it's almost all Cass County tax force. But there's some state in there, but same rules apply.
All right, well, let's wrap it up there. And
Right.
Yeah, I got my license.
Yep. So, it was nice talking to you.
That's right.
We'll follow you home.
I guess I wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on this potential legislation for outdoor school for all, and what would that mean?
That's awesome. Thanks for bringing that up. Outdoor School for All is a bill all of the major environmental learning centers across Minnesota have been working on for the past couple of years. It's an opportunity to get funding paid for every kid that comes to an ELC. So there's Wolf Ridge, of course, on the North Shore, Eagle Bluff down in the southern part of the state, Long Lake right down near Aiken, and then Deep Portage at the moment are kind of the big four in the state. So this is a bill, if it passes and gets the funding, would be a grant program to get every kid covered their expenses to come to Deep Portage or Long Lake or a Wolf Ridge or Eagle Bluff. So the number one challenge we see is expense right now. We don't get 100% kids for most schools, and a lot of it has to do with expense. There is really good grant programs at the moment, but it's not covering what it could cost. So they want to get the teachers, make sure they're taken care of, and the busing is the biggest one. I think the expense right now, it's expensive.
Yeah,
it's been going up, and no doubt about it.
But is that something they're looking at this session?
Yes. So it was introduced last session. I'm not sure how that all works legislatively, but I know it was introduced last year, and all the major ELCs went down last week, I believe, or the week before. And went down, and the bill was heard, and I think it has some broad bipartisan support of, hey, let's get this done.
Yeah, it sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's just the things that kids they may not stick with them a lot of it lifetime, but they get introduced to it, and that's what we like at Deep Portage. They're getting a knowledge of it, they're getting an experience, and there's more than just ecology they're learning about or wildlife. It's sometimes this is the best meal of the week some kids get. Sometimes it's room time. Maybe they've never been away from home.
So my son never ate salad until he went to Deep Portage. He came back, and now he's all about salad.
Excellent.
Yep. So you're saying they ruined your son?
No, because the kid, he eats horribly, but they somehow, years and years, I could not get him to eat a salad or even eggs. And when he came back, he loved both of them.
Well, and honestly, when I grew up, we did hunter safety at the high school 5 nights a week. You go there with dad and a few friends, and it was these old guys teaching the class, and it's like, it was boring, honestly.
I had a very similar experience
and I don't remember back then, we didn't do a range day. I think they maybe had pellet guns that came in. You shot the target with the pellet guns, I believe, because it was at the high school, but we didn't do an official range day with 22s or anything. And it was boring.
I think
it was something we all did. You had to do it that way. But what you guys offer and the other learning centers is just great.
It makes it an experience, and you learn so much more than just getting your fire.
Exactly. Right. So much more than just that.
Yeah, the school year program is fantastic. Yeah, I know there's other states. Is it Washington, I think?
Washington and Oregon.
Yep, they have it. And Washington had it mandated in like the 60s and 70s to do these kinds of things, this type of field trip for every kid. That was like a school mandate. And within 20 years, they had clean air, water bills, they had conservation bills, the farm bills were being passed better. Then they stopped making it mandatory. And I know things weren't passed as much as clean air and conservation bills. So there was a direct correlation. They know that's a fact. So that's, again, we're just trying to get kids introduced to the outdoors who may not have an opportunity, that have obstacles. And this is like a thing to get them here. So
yeah, that's great.
Get them out.
I'm all for that.
Well, and I know up in the Pacific Northwest, they're using lottery dollars to fund that program. Do you know if it's the same here in Minnesota?
That I don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Yep. I think they're still trying. I think that's the hang up right now is just, hey, where is this money actually going to come from?
Right.
How are we going to get it?
Some of that marijuana money could go to that, don't you think?
I think that's what they're trying in Colorado.
Is it?
I was going to ask, how did Colorado? Because obviously you have a little bit of history with that too.
Well, Colorado doesn't have it yet. They don't have outdoor school for all. It was something we were working on while I was out there. But yeah, they were looking at the marijuana revenue because that was supposed to go towards education, but it was written very poorly, and it had to go to educational infrastructure. So it couldn't go to salaries, staffing, any of that stuff. It had to go to a new playground, a new gymnasium, a new school. So Yeah, they need to rework that.
Yeah, the other things I see with the school year type field trips is these kids are, summer camp kids want to be at camp for the most part. They're signing up, they want to go. Where school year, these are kids that may never see a snowshoe again. They may not ski again. They may not canoe again. And that's okay. Where again, it's getting them introduced and giving them an experience. But I see it every day. I see it every week. I see the kids that don't do well in a classroom setting. Whether it was you or I have friends certainly that were like that, to just shine at Deep Portage or wherever, Wolf Ridge or Eagle Bluff, these kids, and they need something other than sitting at a desk. And this 3 days is like that. And
100% and agree.
What did I have a kid? He was from a city school last year, and I took him on a renewable energy tour of all things. And the teachers pawned him off on me. And usually I'm not going to say I always get the bad kids, but I didn't see anything wrong with it. I just have a little more experience at dealing with kids. And I say, hey, can you take this kid on wherever you're going? Just take him, hike him, do something. Okay, so let's go check out solar panels. And he taught me more about solar energy and wood gasification energy that we use. And this kid is 10, and I had learned from him, and he was awesome. And I had adults in the group, and he was so respectful to the adults. He was so respectful just to the whole kind of tour we were doing. And the next day the teacher's like, well, how was he? I was like, oh, that angel you gave me yesterday? Like, what? And I'm like, yeah, he was he taught us everything. He was engaged. He was so polite. And they're like, we almost didn't bring him because he's not like that in school. So just the opportunity to get his legs moving and to find something he liked was really nice for that kid. And we see that every day. We hear that from teachers every day of, hey, there's some kids in here that are excelling. And I used to intentionally ask for the active kid groups. Some schools put active kids in groups intentionally, and I would ask for them, and we'd just take a 2-hour snowshoe hike. Let's go. Let's go through the woods today. If that's what you need to burn off some energy. And I remember I had a teacher like, oh, they didn't make it to campfire. And I felt really bad. She's like, no, that was good. Those kids haven't probably fallen asleep before 8 o'clock in their lives before. Good work. So some kids everyone's different. And it's just a nice place. Everyone gets to fill a niche. I feel like whenever they come, they find something they enjoy.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is crazy how changing your educational setting can have such an impact on student behavior in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And with that kind of program, like you said, some of these city schools and cities kids, would never have that opportunity, and it might open up a door, for them to pursue, DNR or, learning center education later on that they never would have even thought of.
Right. Or even just a hobby. Go learn how to canoe, go to the boundary waters.
Yeah. Bird watching. Right.
And with the parents, especially when they come, a lot of them are like, well, I bought him all this stuff or I bought her all this stuff because we're going to go camping for the first time after this. Yep. And I love hearing that. They're using this experience to do something they've never done before. And I think that's a very powerful thing that opportunities that these field trips provide for kids and parents and families to give them the experience, the confidence to do it on their own.
Right. And learn how to disconnect too.
Yes. Yep, that's a big one. Yeah, that is a big one. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out how I can get my son to disconnect a little bit more over the summer.
Right.
Because he's at that age to where obviously,
it's everything.
What do you do with him? Right. You're not going to daycare.
Send him to Deep Portage.
Send him to
Let's go snowshoeing.
Send him to Neal.
Right. Exactly.
Take him on a death march.
I had a thank you note one time from a kid that said, thanks for the death march. It really tired me out.
Well, and that's actually what I was going to ask you is I feel like every outdoor environmental educator has these student quotes that just stick with them.
We have a whole book for it.
Yeah, right? See, that's what I mean. Do you have one or two favorites that you want to share?
Well, I remember a girl yelling out in class, we're in nature, gross. And she came around. But yeah, there's a lot of funny things. Some things I can say, some things I can't say here from kids. But yeah, I mean, it's I don't guess not off the top. I should have brought that book with. That's what I should have done. Right. It was fully loaded with really good stuff that you hear from kids. And I was just trying to, besides that Earth Day one I heard last week, I thought that one was really cute. And sometimes we just get nature nerds that use Deep Portage as their, this is their church essentially. They're finally here. Kids will find me I heard you like ducks. Let's talk about ducks. I'm like, yes, let's go. No one did this for me when I was your age. So let's do it.
Yeah, because Jared, you did some of that too, didn't you?
Yeah, actually, that was my pretty much my whole career before coming here.
Right.
Was running environmental education centers and summer camps with groups like Pheasants Forever, Trout Unlimited. So one of my favorites was we had this little girl in my group. And have you all ever seen a ponderosa pine tree or smelled one?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Definitely seen one.
All right. Well, yeah. So you scratch a ponderosa pine, scratch the bark, and then you sniff it, and it smells like butterscotch or vanilla. So I was showing the class this, and this little girl gets up and she, scratches it, sniffs it, and then her eyes get all big, and she looks at me, and just like she was reading it from the dictionary. It was like, when a tree smells like this, it's because there's fairies inside baking cookies.
Is that true?
And I was just like, you know what? That's correct.
Right. Let it happen. The imagination, it's
Right.
good for them, right? Yeah. That's everyone has their own teaching style. We have approximately 8 or 10, I think, full-time teaching staff, and I think the other centers are similar too. And it's just like every educator too brings their own little flair of nature and experiences. And it's really nice for the kids to get different teachers and different experiences with all of our staff. And so it's a really fun time.
Yeah.
A good job too. It's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. So
Yeah, no doubt. That's pretty cool.
So are you hands-on with the Forkhorn camps? And I can't remember.
yes. Yep. I run summer camps. And again, this will be my 10th summer working in the Forkhorn camps. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I never heard of them when I was a kid growing up in the cities. I didn't know what these were. These were started at Deep Portage, I think in the late 80s. The Deer Hunter Association was started by I think a local Ikes chapter in this area. And then they came to Deep Portage, I think, and that's where they were started. So we've been running them for 35 years now. I have parents that are coming back that are bringing kids to camp that were the original campers that just starting. So
Wow.
That is cool.
That's great.
So it was a little different back then. There are a lot of different things.
But I can't imagine.
but,
It'd be interesting, though,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
to see how they did things back in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm. Even from when I started, it's just different times. You got to keep up with the kids. You got to keep up with the atmosphere and what they want. But that's what I like about work in this field is it's always different every day.
Yeah.
I could never sit at a desk and type away and answer phones. I just love the differences every day.
So what's your biggest challenge working with kids today?
Trying to keep up with them.
Yeah.
Really. It's just learning how to connect with kids because every year, I don't like the phrase, well, kids these days. I don't think that's a fair assessment because I was probably a pain in the butt when I was a kid too. Yeah. And I bet everyone in this room was.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody changes from time to time and it's just keeping up with how you have to be on top of them, how they want to be respected. That's the big one. It's just being on their level and kind of figure out what they like and meeting those needs. And I think, to go back to our earlier discussion of, I remember my dad almost pulled me out like a firearm safety class because it was just, and again, I think the volunteers do a great job. I'm not knocking any of that, but it was just like 2 8-year-old men just talking about deer hunting stories. Yep. And he's like, I think he told him like, you got to stop. You got to talk about safety at some point. Being relevant is huge and keeping it not boring because I don't want kids sitting there like tapping their fingers and stuff. So we just gotta, how do I do that every day? That's the challenge.
Well, and then to make those meaningful connections with the kids within a matter of 2.5 days, and that's when you're done with them. Ideally, you make it day one. It takes a special person. So
because you have actual counselors there, and you split the kids up in a group. So how summer camp works for Forkhorn camps is there's up to 2 to 3 groups. We try to have as many as 60 or 40 to 60. It depends on the week or other camps. But so we try to split them up into groups of 15 or 20. And they have two to three team leaders with them the whole week. And then I do the lectures and we have a range master who does all the shooting. We have other support staff that help with other classes. So it's like a traditional summer camp, but just kind of in a more rigid form. I don't want to say military, but it's more rigid because we're dealing with firearms. Like we got to be safe. Well, we're not joking around here. That's right.
Someone, the director before me was always very good at the motto of camp has been and always will be self-respect for yourself and others. Because if you're I'm not signing your paper if you're not going to be, respecting yourself because you're obviously not going to handle a firearm with respect. So we kind of instill that on day one of, hey, there's goofing off and there's goofing off. There's serious and there's serious. We got to keep a fun, positive atmosphere as long as we're all safe. And that's not just hunting in general. It's fun. It's fun, but only if everyone goes home. And I don't know how many of you in this room have been shot. I have, and it's not a fun experience.
You've been shot?
Yep. By a friend. By a 12 gauge.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did not get hurt, but it was a pheasant drive out in North Dakota on a very cold December day. And I was at the end of the push in the cattails, and my friends were coming close, and I heard the rooster get up in between my buddy next. I was the blocker, and he's not supposed to pull up. He's not supposed to shoot. And what's that tunnel vision they call it? And he was probably 75 yards away out, and I had just enough time to duck as quick as I could, and I heard the BBs fling right over me. I felt, I had a Carhartt jacket on. I felt the few go off my neck and my hat because I had a hood on, and that's scary. That's some stuff of like, holy moly, that should not have happened. And there was some words exchanged and of all people involved. And I remember the next fall we were hunting again together, and my brother was with this time too. And my buddy goes, "Hey Neal, where are you?" I'm like, "I'm up here." I heard him talk to me, but yeah, I shot him last year. I got to watch out. I got to really watch out. I got to be on my best behavior.
I can't shoot him again.
Right. And you went hunting with him again.
Yeah, we go hunting every fall together. He's cleaned up his axe. So
you remind him every year, though?
Oh yeah. Well, I think like a couple years later, he was like, "Let's do a pheasant drive in this cornfield." I was like, "Nah, I'm good. You guys go ahead." He's like, "Shut up." I'm like, "No, I'm serious."
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. You walk that way. You go first.
He's awesome. He's much better. Yeah, he's a terrific hunter, and we run German wire hair pointers. So it's cool. That's how we connect over crazy dogs. We used to have like therapy with our dogs. We used to call each other, "How's your dog doing? How's your dog doing?" He's crazy.
He's neurotic.
I've never been shot, and I've never shot anyone.
No,
I did think about it on one hunting trip. It was actually pretty recent. I was down in Kansas.
we thought about it too.
Trust me.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I've come close to being shot.
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Oh, is the guy sitting next to you?
No, not this guy. No, we were dove hunting back in the day, and around these ponds and whatnot, and doves were flying, so we're shooting them. And this one dove wasn't quite dead yet, so I go up to get ready to pick it up. I don't know what my buddy was thinking, but I was reaching down towards it. I was probably at my knee level. Then all of a sudden, all this blood and feathers and dirt flies up, and I hear a big boom. He shot the dove as I was reaching for it, and it just splattered everywhere. And we had, probably 12 gauges or 20 gauges at that time. It's like, yeah, words were exchanged. I about shot him. In the meantime, luckily, I didn't have my shotgun on me. I couldn't reach for it fast enough. So yeah, that was pretty close. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, I wasn't dead yet."
Mm-hmm. And that's how we can't save like Deep Portage
to teach kids
what not
way to refocus us, dude.
Yeah,
I know. I'm trying my best.
Right?
When I was range master for those few summers, my motto to the kids would be like, "I want to be that voice in your head, like that makes you stop doing something." Everybody needs that voice.
Want to be my wife?
Not everybody has a dad or a mom or a grandpa, whoever taught you. Not everyone has that. So I hope that I could become that for somebody. Because when I was growing up, it was if you mess something up, you're walking your butt home. Like, and I don't remember what I did one time, and it wasn't that far away from the cabin, and then the gun was taken away from me, and you know your way home. Like, there you go. It was that strict of don't even, of all times we are. I remember even just like unloading guns from the car around people. He would be so strict about it. Like, be respectful to others, and they're not all comfortable like we are. So you have to be, you be safe as you can, be respectful and informative to people. It was very good. It was strict, but very nice. I'm glad I had that. But,
well, it sure helps. I mean, when I went through firearm safety, my teacher was actually an ex-Marine. So it was beat into our heads. And I still today, it's like, I know exactly where the end of my gun is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I know where it is based on the people around me.
Yep.
Yeah. He was a great guy, but he beat it in you.
Yeah.
I think he's still kicking these days, but I think he lives in California now.
Deep Portage Learning Center. Through the exploration of woods, water, and wildlife, Deep Portage prepares and inspires learners of all ages to sustain and celebrate the natural world. You can find more information at deepportage.org.
So Neal, let's jump into a little bit more on Forkhorn camps. We got 3 different levels, and maybe walk us through what does a typical Forkhorn camp experience look like?
Yeah. Forkhorn 1, of course, is the firearm safety camps. It's kind of like an intro to hunting responsibility. So instead of doing a 2-week course, so I guess I don't know how much they do it now, because everything's changing with firearm safety, with the certifications, with the state requirements. Like when I was a kid, we'd go to Gander Mountain every day for 2 weeks, and then you go to a field day where this is a really nice program that has been a good cooperation between the centers, the DNR, and the MDHA getting these camps, especially firearm safety, done in a week. So this year there'll be Sunday through Thursday camp. So kids come to camp day 1 and kind of get situated. Maybe Forkhorn 1, there's a little more hesitation with the kids when they walk in the door, and they don't know as many kids. It's kind of a nervous first day for a lot of them. So we might just go rock climbing, or we might do some archery just to get them to camp, get them comfortable with doing some things. And those are great classes to learn how to be friends with new people. So we don't want to do too much at a time. Whereas Forkhorn 2 and Forkhorn 3, these are returning kids a lot. So they might even know each other. Hey, bunkmate Jimmy. Hey, Sarah. Hey, we're all back again. There's a little more excitement in those camps on day 1. So it's kind of fun with the different camps to see that again. Forkhorn 1, the classes are really legit classes. Like it's like going to school, but being outside and being with firearms and safety. So I do the lectures. I do 2-hour lectures for a few days, and that's like the classroom bulk portion of those. So we start them out with the PowerPoint, with the videos. I don't know if any of you have seen the Danny and Eric movie. They were showing that when I was a kid, where a student, a firearm safety student, tragically kills another kid. It's like a dramatization.
Oh yeah,
it's deep. Like
what is that called? Like the last shot.
It is deep. It's actually a true story. No joke. The person that got me to work at Deep Portage, he lived right by where that actually happened. Like when he grew up, that was a real thing. So it's I've seen kids cry. Kids have to leave the room. It's not often. Maybe 1 in 100, but they get the point. Like they're stunned, and it's like remember the show ER? Like there's like an ER visit, and like it's substantial, like deep. So they go through a lot of things. But
I don't remember Clooney being in it though.
There's not as good as actors in this one as Clooney.
Budget than
but the fact that they're still showing that 20 years later, that I'm sure even before then, is it's a good video to start off with firearm safety camp. And then we just start talking about what is this. At Deep Portage, we teach that firearms are a tool, that they're not a weapon unless, you're maybe in the military. This is a tool we're using, and that's all we're using it for, to do what we're doing, rifle shooting, shotgun practice, or hunting. We're using this in respectful manners. And so that's kind of what the lectures are about. We go through the book work. I just go with the kids. They read out loud, or maybe they're going to come up front and display the holds or the carries for me. But so that would be the boring. I think we call it fun time with Neal in lecture. They keep it. Hey, we don't want to call it a classroom or a lecture. You got to make it sound fun time. Right. But then the classes for Forkhorn 1 are really awesome, and I really credit to not just Deep Portage but also the MDHA through the years, the education committee having very qualified people helping with those classes, teachers and educators to come up with the lesson plans with these centers and stuff to get them to be like legit classes. It's not just willy-nilly. We go out there and let's go handle firearms. There's lessons plans, objectives, and we do it. So the first one is firearms in the field. So this is like that classic. We walk around our ski loop. They got to go over fences. They got to show us all the carries, all the correct ways each kid has to do it. They got to go over all the fences. We have like 3D archery targets in the woods, so like good shot, bad shot. Hey, is this a good shot? Is this a bad shot? To bring up those conversation pieces of, hey, it's not always 100%. It's not always black and white. We got to talk about these things. Hey, it's by water. Is there a backstop? Is there people? So that's kind of a really fun class. We get the kids. It's usually pretty buggy. So that's also an added bonus of being safe with firearms. Yeah. How are you going to hold your firearm if it's buggy? We have all the kids there and stuff. But then we have tree stand class, of course, where they got to go up into tree stand safely, how to use a harness, how to climb, how to use a haul line. And then we do deer drives with that and simulate, not with, loaded firearms or anything, but we have firearms. They just don't have a bolt in them. So we're actually we're just giving these kids, loaded firearms in the woods. So they do it with practice dummies. But so that works out. Those are the meaty classes, how to get those are the field day requirements essentially of the field day. In between that, we throw in other activities, classic camp, fishing, canoeing, nature arts, stuff like that to hit niches with all the kids and get them comfortable. That's kind of a week of Forkhorn one. We used to test on Thursday nights, but it'll be Thursday afternoon since they're getting picked up. That test is just the standard book test, about 50 questions, and it is way better now than it was even 10 years ago. They've done a great job, whoever writes that test. It's fantastic. And I don't know if he's retired now, but there was a local, the regional officer, the conservation officer who helped run these firearm safety classes and trainings. He was out of the Park Rapids. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but some are Sabika, maybe Wadena. And he was terrific in his objectives for the class. And again, we want kids to pass. It's not like we're just, hey, you're passed, you're here, congratulations. No, I send kids home. Like, it doesn't happen often, but we try our very best to, hey, where is the student at? Like, do they need help mentally or physically? And then if they do, I get to call home and say, hey, here's the situation. This is what I'm seeing. How can I help your kid? And obviously, if there's a situation where this is not safe or this is not happening, we talk with the adults and just say, hey, this is what has come up. Did they want to try it again another time? Are they ready next year? But generally, kids are pretty fantastic and ready to go. And then when they leave, smiling, go home smiling. And it's a very fun moment to watch all the kids leave camp, all the friends they've made. They won't admit it when they're at camp. Like, they're all shy. Sure. And then they're leaving and they're like, bye, see you next year. And so it's really fun to be a part of that last hour of their trip and experience with their especially the families. When they come in and meet, hey, other kids have passed, the applause that happens and the parents are so. I used to work with a really fantastic woman, and she'd say, this is your first adult test. Like this orange card right here. Back in the day, there were orange cards, I think. And she'd say, this is it. Like, this is a huge accomplishment. So like, let's go. Like, let's do this, And I feel like the parents and the adults really feel that a little more than the kids do, but you really feel that kind of the bond there with their family. It's kind of special to watch as they leave and head out the door. So
I know we felt that, I felt that, and it was pretty cool that, the boy was so excited. And then the award ceremony and the sharpshooter.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even, cool. I'll talk about that next for sure. We are very fortunate to have a really nice rifle range on site. It's a 100-yard range, but we only use the 10-yard section for the Forkhorn 1 kids. And we do all 22 rifles for them. So they're going home shooting probably 50 to 70 rounds per child out of our 22s. And we do the 4-H shooting sports training. If any of you are familiar with that, it is awesome. So we have 10, I don't know how many benches we have, but we can have up to 10 shooters at one time on the benches. And if Jared and I were buddies, if we were camp partners, you and I are shooting together. So if you're on the bench shooting, I am right behind you and I am watching your fingers. I am watching your safety. I am watching, because focused kids become focused shooters. That's the whole goal.
I promise not to shoot you.
Thank you.
Focused kid, focused shooter.
Yeah. We have a range master who operates the range and does the commands, ready right, ready left. It's very procedural. We don't let kids get away with much. And our team leaders are there assisting. And so we have, probably 4 or 5 adults at one time, but the kids are usually spot on it. They're ready to go. And you have to remind them to be safe and to do things. But range 1 is all about getting comfortable, getting them set. There's a lot of hesitation over dominant eye in Forkhorn 1. And I understand that. But if it's not homesickness that, some kids are crying about, it's not like, oh, I'm left eye dominant. And it's just like, it's okay. I am too. We've all been there. No one taught me that. So I was probably 17 or 18 years old when I did trap shooting in high school. I wasn't very good at it. And they're like, wait, what are you doing? And I remember they took a picture of me looking over to the barrel of my firearm. Like, you are left eye dominant. So how did you get this far? So we teach them our best to get them to start shooting with their eye dominance. And so they hopefully they improve their shooting. And then range 2, they come back a day or 2 later, and that's when we shoot off the tarps. And that's when we do that classic sitting and kneeling and prone position that the DNR requires. And then we do the shoot for score, where they get a target with that black dot, and they have to they just see their grouping. Of course, our 22s get shot, 20,000 times a year. They're going through rounds and stuff, so they're not sighted in. So we just care where the grouping hits. So we size that grouping of 5 shots, whether it's the size of a golf ball or I forget what the secondary one is, but so we give them a little score sheet on that, how they did in the final week of camp.
No, that's pretty cool. And I do know after, I shot with my son prior to Forkhorn Camp and, try to teach him, the basics and whatnot. And I can tell you after camp, he was a lot better shot, a lot steadier.
I'm more confident.
A lot more confident for sure. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And
that was last year, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we had a
so,
phenomenal range master
yes,
last year.
that guy. I was really impressed with him.
He's a shooting instructor in the Marines.
Okay.
I knew it had to be a Marine.
Yep.
I like to say I was a good range master, but I wasn't. He was too. I was good at being with kids, and he was too. But he had a lot of special skills he could teach the kids that I didn't know how to do. He was he was so nice with the kids, and that really helps them be not nervous and not sweating and not being timid up there. He was very nice with them. So we always try to hire somebody like that, someone who can be relevant to the kids and is nice to them. You can be assertive and good, high, sometimes you have to tell a kid to knock it off, but 2 minutes later they do something right and you got to go like, hey, nice job. Hey, good work. Yeah. So we want to keep that atmosphere of, hey, just relax. This might be new to you. So let's just spoon feed you this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing a lot of the kids probably have never held a firearm.
You can tell who has and who hasn't very quickly, right?
I bet.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Forkhorn 2 is the bow hunters camp. So that's the Minnesota Bow Hunting Education Program, which is also based off of the IBEP2, the International Bow Hunters Association. So I think you need that in some Canadian provinces and a certain few states you need it as well. And I think if you have it in Minnesota, like you don't have to do like an archery test for state park. I think you can get special things for it as well in the state. Like I grew up in Ramsey County, and I think you need that to hunt in Ramsey County to prove, hey, you've been to an archery safety camp. Of course, archery, just the archering part of it is not the dangerous. It's the tree stands and the private property and knowing where you're going and stuff. So, but yeah, that one, since it's more archery based, we do beginning archery up at the standard range. We shoot out of tree stands at 3D targets. So we set up a bunch of tree stands and give them that opportunity to shoot at targets. And then we have a 3D course down on one of our roads, and they get to shoot at different targets. And, there's bears and deer and turkeys and all kinds of critters that we have 3D targets for walking up and down the course.
Yeah. I want to go to that.
Yeah. And then we bring out the big guns too. So we bring out the bigger rifles,
That's
the 223s, the 270s. And we used to have a 30-06, but it broke, and the bolt broke, and I didn't fix it because the kids don't like shooting it that much.
I don't like shooting that.
Yeah. So we were buying X amount of ammunition, and then it was just like, all right, let's just not fix it.
Do you want one? I'm trying to get rid of
it. The kids won't, they'll shoot the other ones. They just don't like the 30-06 that much.
Well, it is.
If you have one for free and you're willing to donate, I'll take it. If it works, I have to make sure we have to do the legal transfer.
It works great. It's a cheap budget rifle that I bought in college, and it's time to upgrade.
Well, if you need more rifles, I bet we know a guy that can hook you up. So
we still have an old, a really good 243 that has the Minnesota Deer Hunter Association logo on it. It's really a nice firearm too. So that's a good one. So
that's something we should do. We should. So we do a gun of the year every year. We should start getting more, because you guys do fundraisers throughout the year.
Yep.
I don't know if you would have to look into the legality and everything, but get a gun of the year for each of our partner camps to raffle off, or silent auction.
Well, heck yeah, we can definitely. We definitely hook you up with that.
43,
right.
Yeah. Then Forkhorn 3 is kind of the pinnacle of their Forkhorn experience. So besides all the firearm safety and bow hunting, we also do. We have it was designed by 2 Army Rangers in the 80s. It's a orienteering course. So the kids in Forkhorn 1 and 2, they learn how to use a map and compass. They go point to point in the woods learning this. So we build it up. So Forkhorn 1's pretty much by the book of like, hey, here's your map, here's your compass. Let's learn how to do it. And woohoo. They eventually go out with
follow Fred.
Yeah. It's now it's put red in the shed and go that away. So it's confusing because there'll be it's fun teaching a kid like what the that away arrow, or I call it the directional travel arrow. Yeah. And they want to follow the north arrow all the time. I'm like, well, where is that going? I'm just going north. Like, if you're going north, that's great. That's not a bad skill to know. Forkhorn 1 is, they get out in the woods with the walkie-talkie. And the Forkhorn 2, we make their own maps. So they generally know how to use that compass. They're bigger kids. They know how to they're a year older in school. They're a little more dexterous with their hands. And then we learn how to, on the map, how do you take a bearing from point 1 to point 2 to point 3 to point 4? All right, make your map. Let's go. And then often we'll have it, we don't tell them. We're like, oh, now you're going to give it to this group over here. So they make a map not knowing it's going to go to another group. So it's kind of fun that way to do that. We build up survival skills as well. So Forkhorn 1 is always the basic. Just get them here, have fun, enjoying it. Yep. We can use matches in Forkhorn 1. We can get our fires started that way. That's what it's about. We're learning how to do this, boil water and stuff. But by Fork 2, it's maybe we take away matches. Maybe we just use strikers or flint and steel, or how are we going to do shelters differently? And then Forkhorn 3, like I said, is the pinnacle. Now you're here, you want to be here. Generally, Fork 2, there may be some kids that are still just doing it to do stuff, but Fork 3, these kids want to be here and they want more. And that's when you get really good and creative. And sometimes Charlie to base, that's what we call the orienteering class, just turns into it. Here's a map with all the points, and like radio me when you're at the next one. So then on the fly, they're just without anything, they're just doing it. They're just doing the whole map. And at the end, it's like, all right, well, make your way back to the building. Like, kind of stuff. And like, all right, here's where you are. Now you have to find the trail. Now you have to find where you're going and orientate yourself. Triangulation, we try to teach them a little bit. And then again, with that survival, bow drills, the old fashioned,
there you go. There you go.
We're going to struggle a little bit as a group. Right. And maybe a lot of times we used to say too, like we used to have like cards and stuff of, hey, your buddy's got a broken arm because it was a bad accident. You fell, or now you're out in the woods, or, hey, somebody's got a disability that they can't move, or so you have to come together and use your strengths to accomplish a goal. But Forkhorn 3, it used to be advanced hunters education. And that is no longer a thing in the state of, they don't teach that anymore. The book, we still have the book. It was from 1998 in the test. And it was talking about how prairie chickens were endangered and you can't hunt them. You can hunt moose and all this stuff. It's like, holy buckets, wow. That's outdated.
That was old.
And I know the state's working at it. They're trying to get a different one on there. That's not advanced hunters. That I think used to be a thing if you hunted in Colorado or Montana. That was a requirement. I think that was a thing they were preaching. So they offered it. But it's not too much, so we don't have a test for Forkhorn 3 anymore, like we do Fork 1 or Fork 2 for your bow hunters and stuff. But it's just fun. It's just a fun week at camp because you get kids that want to be there, and they can just do things. And I'm not making fun of Fork 2 or Fork 1 kids, but this is where you learn that you learn things in the Forkhorn 3 that you can apply later in life. So we've always tried to, thought about bringing in like a professionally trained paramedic for Fork 3 of, hey, can you teach them first aid? Can you teach them wilderness survival? We do actually. We have a sporting clays site range on site at Deep Portage 10 Station. So we do that with the kids. Shotguns. We bring out the muzzle loaders. That is super fun with the kids. They love that. I hate cleaning it, but the kids love it. And we also do gun cleaning in Forkhorn 3 a lot with the kids. So we teach them how to break it down and clean your firearms, so you're responsible. But each camp builds off of the next one and gives them, hey, if you're here 3 times and you're seeing safety 3 times, if you're seeing how to survive 3 times, if you're seeing how to be a good orienteer 3 times, you're going to probably learn those skills pretty well. And then they can go teach somebody else, their buddies, their friends. So that's kind of the goal with this Forkhorn series, is to build those skills, to get them at camp, and to continue on with those conservation ethics and conversations. Because we bring that into Fork 3 a little bit too, of just that conservation element of it, of whoever has the strength that summer to talk about it can talk about it. But yeah, last year when I brought it back for the first time, we also did Duck Day. I knew a person that made duck calls, and he gave every kid a duck call, and we learned how to do duck calling. And the Turkey Federation donated turkey calls and gave every kid a turkey call, taught them how to use them. So we're trying to hit just something. We're throwing darts at the bullseye wherever they hit. I hope they stick. And kids are coming away with something they like at camp and to pursue further on in their hunting careers.
Well, it's probably a little bit more, it's harder to get the Forkhorn 3 kids just because they're that much older.
You're right. Yep.
So that's what I was going to say. It's like, I'm sure there's a lot of, Forkhorn 1 and then Forkhorn 2, there's probably a little less, but
100%
quite a bit.
Yep.
And then Forkhorn 3 is, that's what we've noticed is 3 is just tough to get kids there.
Yeah, for sure.
At that point, they've got jobs, they've got
no joke,
right?
Sports. It's generally later in the summer. So by the time you're 14 or 15, if you're an athlete, you probably don't want to go to camp anymore. You want to be at state. So we battle that.
I want to go to Forkhorn 3.
It's awesome.
Sounds kind of fun.
Can we do like a MDHA staff and friends? Forkhorn 3.
I just want to go. Well, I've already got hunter safety, but 2 and 3, and even some of 1. I would like to say I know how the compass works, but I point it north. Mm-hmm. Actually, when I go into somewhere where I don't know, I go, okay. So if I go right, left, up or down, I can get to a highway, and so I know where that direction is. So then I look at my compass, go, okay, I can do that. So that way, if my phone dies, I can operate one just barely enough to stay alive. But yeah, my son knows how to work a compass better than I do, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. GPSs are expensive. I don't know how many people use an actual GPS anymore. We used to teach that of, hey, this is GPS, but everyone's on their phone nowadays.
I've got an old Garmin GPS.
Right, we do too. Yep, we have all those.
And I love that. I still use it boating because I've got all the old, marks, the fishing spots on that, because you didn't have that on your flip phone back then. So I still have that. I still take it boating with me when I remember to put new batteries in it. And but it's like, I don't want to rely on my cell phone for, now they got this SOS mode and service and everything, but that GPS always works.
I think it's a boundary wires with me still.
Yeah. So I mean, it's great, but still learning how to use a basic compass is
that can get you out anywhere, as long as you know where you're going, as long as you know where you started. I try to teach the kids, like, hey, you should never know not where you started. Like, you should always be, where's the river? Where's the nearest road to me? If I got turned around, where can I just get somewhere out of here and meet a human? There's not many places in Minnesota, except if you're by like Upper Red Lake, that you're really going to be out in the middle of nowhere where you can't find someone in an hour or a car. So that's kind of the mentality of it.
And Jim, like when we were in Kansas, you said, I can't get my bearings because there's not enough stuff. Well, see, when I first moved up here, I couldn't get my bearings because there's too many trees. I can't see a landmark. Right. Because back home, you could see, this hill or that hill or a grain silo in the far background. So you knew, by landmarks. Right. But up here, I couldn't figure stuff out until it's like, okay, when I used to go hunting, way back when with some friends, it's like, okay, so I drove this way. So I look, it's like, okay, the highway is that way. So if I just keep going that way, even 2 miles, I'll hit civilization. If I go that way, I'm dead. If I go that way, I'll hit water. If I go that way, you'll never, ever, ever find me. So it's like, at least I know where I got to go. But you were disoriented down in Kansas.
Oh yeah. That first day it was just weird.
Yeah.
So too much. You could see too much.
Yeah.
That's one of the positives of Colorado.
Yeah.
Right.
There's mountains. You go that way, you're going to hit about 14,000 foot tall landmarks.
We're not going that way. We go the opposite way.
So Forkhorn Camps, again, whether they do 1 or 2 or 3, 1, again, you don't have to do Forkhorn 1 to do 2 or 3. As long as you have your firearm safety, you can come to camp. And we get plenty of kids who do that. But we're just building up that respect and responsibility around firearms and hunting, and just building that safety and culture, I guess, of, hey, remember, whatever we're doing here, be safe. We all want to go home. That's the goal of camp, treating people with respect. But it's so fun by Fork 3. Again, it's all right. It's not that the kids weed themselves out. It's more so, hey, just kids want to be here, and they know each other by Fork 3, and it's fun to watch that. It's like a deer camp, it's camaraderie. They're here again. They're back at camp with their buddies, and that's what we're trying to facilitate, of positive atmosphere where kids can do these things and have a common theme. Hey, we like hunting, we like shooting. Let's be friends. So that's what we really try to do, especially with Forkhorn.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate so much the work that you all do.
100%.
So many states have gone. Well, Minnesota now offers online firearm safety training.
Yes,
right?
My daughter did that.
Yeah, and many states have gone solely online. Minnesota is making an active effort to retain our in-person firearm safety training. Yep. But we have to be able to prove that it's still effective and that kids are still signing up for it. And it's through organizations like Deep Portage and MDHA and Long Lake that we can do that. So.
Yeah. I get a lot of calls from parents saying, my kid did the online portion. Can he still come or she still come? Yes. Yes, please. Yeah. Or I get a lot of parents that firearm instructor and parents will call me and say, I don't think that online, I don't think they did a good enough job from this student or that student. Can they still come? They want to redo it. And I say, of course, that's what we're here for. Yes, exactly. So I really, we see it in other camps too of, hey, I know who comes with just their online. I know, I can tell. And I have nothing again. People need to get their firearm safety in ways that they can get it. But I see the difference.
Well, and I'm 100% okay with the hybrid.
Yep.
Do the online curriculum, the quizzes, all of that.
And then the range day.
But the online range day, have you guys seen that?
Yes.
Take your mouse cursor over the target and click.
You can literally do range day online.
You can do your range day online.
So my daughter
so many states, that is all you need.
Oh, wow. My daughter had to do it because of COVID. Because she hit that age. Yep. She hadn't done it before, and she was getting at the age. It's like, okay, you need hunter safety. You're going to hunt. So we did the online, and it just happened to be during COVID. So she did the range day. She shot with me plenty of times, and we went and shot afterwards. Granted, I guarantee I'm not as, probably as, clinical as you guys are, which I wish we would have had the opportunity, to get her into Forkhorn at that time. But, she did it that way and it worked. But yeah, I was doubting this like range day online.
Well, but
are you kidding me?
But that's great that she has a dad that's going to take her out.
Right.
But not everybody.
Not everybody does.
You got those kids that they're a first generation hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Who's going to take them out to the range?
Exactly.
And an underrated portion of Forkhorn Camp is our staff. Yeah. Most of them do not have their firearm safety when they come to camp, and they get it when they come to camp. We actually hire international staff. We hired 3 or 4 a summer, and they are ecstatic. Like, we were introducing international staff to this culture of firearm safety, and they go home. They love it. I've never met an international staff who does not like to come to Forkhorn Camp and be a part of it. Yeah. I can tell you off my hand at least 5 or 6 people I've known on staff that did not hunt or shoot before coming to work at Deep Portage, and now they hunt or shoot at least 5 or 6. So it works not only for the kids, but for staff as well to get them introduced into this. Gives them an opportunity as well.
That is cool. So with Forkhorn Camp, you don't have to be an MDHA member to go.
Correct.
Yep. But obviously, a lot of our chapters, and obviously we really push for Forkhorn Camp and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Well, I guess we never really did define Forkhorn Camp.
We really didn't.
I mean, I would assume anyone listening to this is aware, but yeah, I mean, Forkhorn Camp is a trademark of MDHA, and we partner with, currently it's Deep Portage. It's Long Lake Conservation Center out of Palisade, Minnesota. It's Baker, Eagle Bluff.
Yep.
Who am I missing here?
There's one in the cities. Is it Bowery?
Well, Baker's in the cities.
I think there's one more at Three Rivers that does it.
Christmas Tree.
Is
also in. Actually, that should have been the first one I listed. That's in Mountain, Minnesota, where I grew up.
Right.
But yeah, so all these great organizations that actually facilitate the summer camps, and so all of our chapters raise funds. And what would you say the percentage of kids who go to Deep Portage Forkhorn Camp are on scholarship from MDHA?
I can tell you that it was like 275 last year.
275
like
kids.
350 kids probably at least. And that's like a low number.
Yeah.
So in past years, it's been like 80, 90%.
Yeah. And that's great. And that's, Deep Portage. We also send them, what did we do last year? About 500 kids?
Yeah, a little over 500. Obviously, before COVID, we were well over, roughly 1,000, 800 to 1,000, give or take,
Yeah, I know it's well over 15,000 youth at this point in total.
Yeah.
And we only have more because we do more, along the way, because other camps that they're excited about and they do, or so does Eagle Bluff. So it's Laurentian has been closed down for how long? They used to be huge into Forkhorn too. So we've had to, every camps as they grow and as we see what's in the future, everyone's just got to make the decision of how many you want to do. And I know those day camps in the cities, was it 2 years ago when I was talking to him, he's like, we sold out in like 8 minutes. So those day Forkhorn camps have become huge in the cities for people that can't get up here, can't get to overnight camps, but still can do that opportunity in the daytime and different schedules. Kids that play sports in the cities appeals to them a little more.
Yeah. Well, I've told this to many people, but I don't know if anyone hasn't heard. My first job out of high school was a camp counselor for Forkhorn camps at Baker. I've been hooked on MDHA and conservation ever since.
It's like a circle.
That's really what sent me down this road. And here I am back back with MDHA.
I got one coming this summer who did all 3. She'll be a staff member. She did all 3.
Oh, I loved it.
Cool. I'll come back. I want to work. So we get 1 or 2 of those every year for sure. We get 1 or 2 returners that want to work. They come back right away. Oh, I did all the camps. I think actually there's 3 of them this summer that did the camps that are coming back to work. So
that's great.
And what we always hear from those, when I ask the staff, well, what made you come back? And they just say that just the atmosphere was fun, positive, and no matter where they went and whatever center they went to, I loved the Forkhorn camp. It was so fun learning all that. I want to provide that to another kid, and like bingo, like that. There you go. They did their job. If we can get someone to come back and say that I want to pass it on, I want to work here, I want to work at a Forkhorn camp, then they've done their job. That's what the camps are supposed to do. I get a lot of from grandparents too. Hey, guess what? We use harnesses now at camp because my kid learned how to use a harness, and we use I'm not joking. I've had parents come up to me or adults in their lives say, my kid's preaching safety. Like, I can't get them to shut up. I'm like, that's great. Again, that's what they're for. I don't want to impose my safety views. That's not I just want a safe deer camp or pheasant, whatever you do. That's what they're going home to learn how to do.
Well, and honestly, us as the older we age, we may get lax in it to where the kids, will reaffirm what we should do and what we know to do. So that's good. I'm hoping that we can get our kids to go, 3 years in a row.
I think, Rowan and Naden will probably do it.
Yeah, I think so. It's just a matter of, getting, MDHA has been a big supporter of them with the scholarships. So just getting those scholarships going and getting more involved. So no, that's really cool. So what other camps do you offer other than just the Forkhorn? Because I know there's is there a bird hunting camp?
Upland bird camp.
Fishing? Okay.
Yeah, there's fishing camp. Yeah. That's a 4-day blitz of let's just go fishing. Let's get the canoes out. Let's go down the river. We teach them how to fly fish, how to tie flies, how to fly rod fish. And those are a lot of young kids, like 9 to 11. So that's a lot of kids.
How about awesome. A lot older kids?
I think our age limit is 14. So if they're a lot older,
I'm already taking you guys.
if they're adults, I know. So that is super fun. We just go fishing, and that we actually stopped hosting that one a few years ago because it was like no kids came. And then the last 2 years, like we have had a waiting list since January. Really? And it's like, oh my goodness, I guess people want to fit. And this is great. So hopefully next year we're toying with the idea of like a fishing 2. We used to do that a long time ago where, hey, fishing 2 is bigger for older kids so we can do different things too. But and then this year we offer I think this is going to be the 32nd year of Upland Bird Camp. And it's a 6-day camp. And all we do is shoot shotguns and pet puppies.
That sounds pretty good.
So it's legit. So it's we have a sporting clays range on site. It's awesome. It's 10 stations through the woods. For people who don't know what that is, it's like the golfing of shotgunning world. It's very nice. You're walking and moving and getting different targets thrown at you rather than trap. And each kid's going to go through a case of shells at least under my watch. Like we're going to shoot. And that's the goal of camp, is to improve their wing shooting. So we start out day 1 of just regular, easy peasy singles and maybe a few doubles. And then day 2 and day 3, we just up the ante with the kids. And all these kids, a lot of them have been to Forkhorn Camp. So again, thank you. A lot of them are former. They just, what's the next thing you have for me? Yep. It's also an intro to dog training. It's an intro. Again, we do the standard camp stuff, orienteering and stuff. But we have a guy that comes in, a retired board member. Him and I go over how to get we do this a little in Forkhorn too, but how to get permission on private hunting land. Like how do you treat private? How do you treat public? We talk about that with the kids. And again, we do that with Forkhorn. Just we have a more of a in-depth lesson in Upland about it. This year I have a good friend. Hopefully we're going to do like a shotgun lab. We're going to open up all the shells and we're going to just do like a pattern lab with the kids. We're going to bring up to the range. Let's shoot shotguns. Let's look at what 2-shot is, 4-shot, 6 is. What's 3.5 mean? What's powder charge mean? So hands-on stuff like that. But the kicker is the Thursday of camp where we go down to Pine Shadows dog training facility and kennel in Brainerd. And it's just a blast. They teach kids how to dog train. I don't know how to make it any more simpler, but so with live birds, kids don't shoot, but they have gunners and they bring the kids out with the pointing dogs. They bring the kids out with the flushers. They have a station just for puppies for like 45 minutes. They give you a puppy, a Springer Spaniel. And
I bet they try to sell those puppies. Parents probably hate that.
They don't. Here's why. Because they're spoken for. they'll be like, hey, they'll be like, just remember, these are like $1,000 deposits already down. Do not drop the dog. But they literally give each kid a puppy and say, here's how we hold the dog. Here's how you get that, bond with your dog over time. So literally we got so many pictures of just kids crying with their puppies. And then they show you, hey, let's get a 14-week dog out here and teach you how to, train with your young puppy. Like, how do you get it to not be gun shy? How do you run it in the field? So that's just a camp where it's just, shooting and puppies. I don't know how to describe it.
I think I need to attend that camp.
You want to go to all of it.
I do.
Did your parents neglect you as a child?
Apparently.
He never got to go to camp.
Mace, send your son to camp.
Exactly. This is a bunch of BS. I go to the camp when I'm an adult. I'm becoming a counselor. I don't care.
I never went to summer camp either. I was at hockey camps.
That was me. I had baseball. I never knew about any of it.
I worked.
I was hunting and
ranching.
fishing.
You were ranching.
I was ranching.
There you go.
So
You're a sorry excuse. For that.
so yeah, I was. Yeah, I'm going to camp. I
Puppies and shooting sounds pretty good.
Man.
Not
And I
shooting
did
puppies.
No, I didn't.
No.
No.
I did a horrible job training my dog for bird hunting. He loves birds. I never hunted over him. That's not really why I got him, but he has a pedigree for it. I should have done it. My next dog, maybe.
Yeah.
But I tell you, if I'm going to Upland Bird Camp, I'm just going to sneak in.
I just like cuddling my dog, so I'm cool with that.
What kind of dog is it?
I've got a black lab. So, yeah, and he's from, I want to say it wrong, South Dakota. So he's got the pedigree and his parents bird hunting and everything. And he's always looking at the birds, and it's like, oh, I should have.
You ruined him.
I did,
ruined him.
well, because when I got him, I was gone all fall,
Right.
so I couldn't get him into hunting, which I should have. He would have been a great dog for that. Your dog, on the other hand, is they're not bred for bird dogs.
He won't hurt anything.
He'll eat anything.
Dig you out of a snowbank. Is that what they're for? Are they like mountain rescue dogs?
No, they'll save you. They'll
They'll save you. Yeah.
They'll snuggle.
Right.
Keep you warm.
Great Pyrenees, best dog ever.
Well, you said German wire hairs?
Yeah. I have a German wire hair, and he's finally a dog. He'll be 5 in a month or so, and he's finally a dog and not a puppy.
Not a puppy.
He comes to camp. He comes to work every day, but mostly in camp, he's out with the kids all the time. So he loves the kids. The kids love him. It's really fun at like Forkhorn or Upland for kids to see like a bird hunting dog like that, and maybe so. But he likes camp more than I do, probably.
Of course.
So he loves coming to work every day and being a part of the gang. So
Yeah. I've never hunted over a wire hair. We've always had Goldens and German short hairs.
I always tell him if he misbehaves, I'm going to sell him for a lab, trade him in, and then he behaves. But yeah, he's when I was in South Dakota, he caught a badger, so that was a fun time. He went on point, and I was like, wow, he won't get off point. So I thought it was a hen or something in the cattails, and I trying, what has he got down there? And I pulled up on his collar. I was like, holy shit, there's a badger in his mouth. Oh my God, get out of here.
I bet that badger was
he's got,
happy.
I think we're on the 4th porcupine. The 4th one was he rolled in a dead one.
Oh.
So that was good. The other ones he got in the face, but he's bird crazy, but like he's a cuddler. Like he's a couch potato in the off season.
Awesome.
And he can turn it off real quick.
That's good when the dog can turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he learned that about, he's better now, but when he was a puppy, every puppy's a crazy dog until they're about 2. But he's works out nice. So
that's cool.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association has been building our hunting and conservation legacy over the past 40 plus years through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation in Minnesota for Minnesota.
All right, Neal. So obviously you are more of a bird hunter than a deer hunter. And we usually ask people what they shoot for a rifle. In your case, I am curious what you have for a shotgun. What's your go-to shotgun?
I have a pretty vintage, I wouldn't call it old, but it was my great uncle's over under Winchester 101. It's from the early 70s 20 gauge. And that thing is lethal.
Really?
I am a proponent of the lighter, the better. And you stick to one round, one shell. I only shoot steel 7s for upland, and I only shoot steel 3s for waterfowl. And that's it. And it works. It's a great combination. It knocks down just what I need.
Right.
I would agree with the 20 gauge.
Well, that is a little bit odd, but
What?
20 gauge.
I'm telling here's in North Dakota this fall. There was a headwind at about 40 miles an hour, and a mallard was about 50 yards up. And I said, what the heck? It's windy. I might not get one more chance. I knocked that thing right out, lights out with like 20 inch, So
Boom.
2 years ago in South Dakota, I had a pheasant, another headwind, 50, 60 yards. I was like, my dog did it right. I just better shoot. Knocked that thing stone dead at 50 yards. I walked it out.
Yeah, I believe it. With modern loads,
Yes.
Right.
a 20 gauge is an effective weapon.
Oh, for sure.
I know many people, just to save on weight, that is their go-to.
Yep. That's
for
mine.
Turkey hunting, even.
That's how turkey hunt.
Turkey hunting.
Really?
Especially if you put TSS loads in there.
Really? I've never heard of somebody turkey.
The marketing and the commercialization of shotgun shells. Remember when it was like, 20 years, everyone owned a 10 gauge to shoot geese. Oh, you got to have a 10 gauge.
Right.
They don't even own those anymore.
Yeah.
And then it was, the 3.5 inch shell is going to save the 12 gauge market. Well, they just found out that was bogus too. They don't pattern well. So I think you just find a Yeah, I know they claim, and it's true, the 28 gauge pattern's consistently better than any other round because it's small. The way there's a lot of physics, and you can come to Upland Bird Camp. We can talk about that. But I think the 20. I think there's a universal consensus that 20-inch or 20 gauge 3-inch threes are pretty awesome, and they are. Like that's all. Like for pheasants, that's all I used to, and boom, I don't have issues.
That is.
So what I was going to ask is, what's your favorite, upland or are the ducks, basically?
Oh, it's tough. That's a really tough one. I go back and forth.
Pheasants.
No.
I love all of them. So I was raised a grouse hunter and a duck hunter, and then I got into pheasant hunting. But sharp-tailed grouse, Hungarian partridge, just a riot. I think I like more where I hunt than what I hunt. Yeah. When you get out on those prairies in Montana and you get them out in the Dakotas, and you are it and your buddy for like 10, 12 miles, it is just it's okay.
That's when you need your buddy not to shoot.
Yeah.
Well, it's helpful. It's helpful for sure.
Yeah, I think we should take a road trip.
Yep.
I don't know.
I've got a spot in eastern Colorado, right on the Nebraska border. Some of the best pheasant hunting I've ever experienced.
I've never pheasant hunted. I've never duck hunted. What? Nope. I only grouse hunt.
A morning in a North Dakota marsh with things flying over you. The wings, the whistles, the sounds. There's nothing better on a cold, choppy day when the snow is flying out on Leech Lake. Like you're in a Les Cuba photo. It's pretty insane.
Which one eats better?
I could put a mallard or a wood duck or a gadwall widgeon in front of you, and you would not know if it was steak or a puddle duck. You would never know the difference.
That I would love to see.
Yes, I have done it many times.
Challenge accepted.
And I'll tell you what, because people, this is any law again. I love to teach a camp where we teach kids how to cook. Meat eater, all this stuff, or whatever it's worth. He's done an amazing job showing people how to eat wild game better. And Hank Shaw, like stop ruining things, like actually let it
coyotes.
Deer hunters, you hang your meat, you hang your deer, let the blood get out. Well, why don't we do that for ducks and pheasants? Because no one told me that. I do that. I let them sit in the garage at below a good temp for 2 or 3, 4 days, and then I clean them. And they just like the knife, they just melt the meat. The breast comes right off the bone. It's like when you do that on Johnny on the spot right after you shoot him, it's like poking through like a rubber or like a thing. Yeah. But you let them sit. It's just oh my goodness! How to prep them, how to put them in saltwater baths, and it's just like you do deer hunt. You take care of your food, and it makes it taste better. That's for sure with ducks. I can convince people you're eating steak really easily with puddle ducks. Divers always have a little zing to them, like the bluebills or stuff. I don't shoot golden eyes. I've never, unless it's jerky, which is great. Don't get me started there, but goose is great in jerky. It can all be made right as long as you know what you're doing. I think that's the beauty of it.
I haven't done
learn how to cook
much duck hunting in my life. It's always been upland, but I have shot a few ducks, and the only way I've ever eaten it is bacon wrapped duck breast.
Classic. That's what everyone's go-to is, and I hate it. I can't stand it.
I thought it was delicious.
It is. It's good.
I couldn't have.
But if you can make it taste
like bacon wrap. It tastes like bacon.
It's like frying fish. It's like, let's catch one. And we just fry it every time. I'm like, sweet, that's great, but I want to learn how to cook it different. Get sick of eating it. I guess right. It's more about where I hunt with my birds than, a nice crisp October day in the grouse woods. Come on, like there's nothing better. It's 32 degrees. It's beautiful out there, and you're moving
home and eat.
Yeah. And that's true what they say about hunting with the dog. It's different. It's just,
it is.
Yeah. I'm out there for him now instead of out there for me. And it's just like, I got to tire you out, man. Let's go. And
I think we got to do some hunt with Neal.
Yeah. I want him to cook for me. I don't know.
Well, that too. Yeah. It's a combination.
He's the one who got shot. He didn't shoot.
Well,
I do own a rifle. I have a .308 Winchester. That was my grandfather's. This is deer rifle for forever.
I figured you had to have some.
And it's got the first ever deer he shot with it. He's put an antler. He put an antler where it's not the butt plate, but that's round piece underneath the grip. Yep. It's got like an antler piece there. It's pretty cool. But
that is cool.
I don't shoot it much, but.
Yeah, I love those old .308 Winchesters.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
he always has this. Or he's passed now, but he always had this funny story how. When he was in between guns, he borrowed his brother was in Korea and brought back his M1. And he uses his brother's M1 for, he's like, I shot like 5 deer that year. They all died right away. It's like, oh my God. That was probably a big round coming through there. But so, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess kind of wrap things up here. I'm 40-ish years now. You know, what is the partnership with MDHA? What does that bring to the table for Deep Portage?
Business. Just kidding.
You're welcome.
Part of Deep Portage's mission, you know, woods, water, wildlife is our 3 words. And even the founders of Deep Portage were all hunters and anglers and hikers and canoe enthusiasts. And that's what the tradition we want to keep. We want to show people you can use the forest for different reasons, and hunting is one of them. And firearm safety is at the top of our list. We want kids to get that. That's a big goal of ours. But every year, we sat down last September. We have a meeting with MDHA and the directors of all the camps, and MDHA takes it to heart, all the stuff we have to say and all the improvements we want to make. It's never stuff isn't just you're doing it our way or the highway. I've never ever felt that way. Thankfully, because I would quit. That was it. But it's always been what are we doing? And it's always the attitude. What are we doing new? What's the next thing? I think that keeps ideas fresh and programs fresh. It's just a great connection to know that there's still, that connection with MDHA, Deep Portage and Long Lake and Eagle Bluff, that you want to continue this. Right. It is business, of course. We want to make a profit at Deep Portage. We want to pay the bills and stuff. But I get to teach hunting every day for 10 weeks in the summer. And it makes me want to, you're giving jobs and opportunities for people that want to work Forkhorn Camps. We think of it that way too. It's just another avenue of revenue for people to live in the county, to be affiliated with this. But, so yeah, the safety aspect is huge, and the conservation and being respectful to nature. That's what Deep Portage is all about, is kind of those opportunities.
Yeah.
Introducing kids to those
education. I've been part of Ducks Limited. They're great. RGS, MDHA is the only one that centers kids at the top of that T. That's it. Kids. I've with every chapter. I've been to the Jim Jordan banquet, the local one up in Walker. I've been to another one, and it was always centered around kids. I see kids at your banquets. I see people no offense, I see people under 40 at your banquets. And so I see a organization that wants to be better and to get kids involved. I see kids working your banquets. That's really rare other places. So that keeps them involved. That keeps them want to come back. So
get some scholarships.
Yeah. Well, there's a chapter that gives kids to us. And we were talking about some things, and he's like, yeah, well, if they get a scholarship, they always 4 hours of conservation work fixing WMAs or something like that is fantastic. That's a terrific way to go about things of, you're getting money, but you're going to learn how to brush man or whatever it was they were doing that year. That's a fantastic way to get not just one and dones, but let's hook them this way too. That's a great way to keep them involved.
Yeah. Our local chapter here, Itasca, they do a highway cleanup every year for their stretch of the Adopt a Highway. And your boys were
they've done it last few years.
Yeah. It was just Saturday.
Saturday.
It was raining.
We were out in the rain, and it was a fun day.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe it. We knocked that out in an hour.
It was quick. Everybody was in a hurry. It was rainy, so everybody was moving pretty steady.
Yeah, and that's good. And there's a lot of chapters that have, different criteria, and a lot of it is to volunteer, either the roadside cleanups or the WMAs. So that's the great thing about it is, they have these kids, the next generation, for the education. So it works out really nice to be able to do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say is, that's where I think where MDHA benefits from our partnership and, with our partnership with the other environmental education centers as well is that's one of the 3 pillars of our mission is education. Right. And I think if we look at the threats to our way of life and to hunting moving forward, there's, predator management, there's habitat loss, there's all of this, but how can we not address the issue of an aging demographic? Right.
Correct.
Hunters are aging out. It is unfortunately a dying culture unless we can get that next generation to take up the mantle. And you all are doing a great job. So we appreciate everything you do.
A former educator, he's a teacher now at a college. He likes to sum it up by because he does all kinds of fun stuff, programming for kids. He does he's a really, really neat scientist. And he's like, remember, people don't like laws, but if we can educate people enough, like we don't need laws. If we get enough to do it, if we can get the word out about the truth about a lot of things, we just don't need to make them. And like nobody likes that politics side of stuff. So let's get education out. Let's teach people. And again, that's what we do at Forkhorn. That's what the young kids are coming up. They're being exposed to a lot of things at camp, and that's great.
Yeah. Well, we need environmentally and ecologically literate people for every sector of our economy.
And I think that goes right into the legislation right now too, right? The outdoor education. I mean, I don't know.
Outside school for all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And that's something everybody should support.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't care if you're going to be working on Wall Street or
it shouldn't matter.
That's a good point, because I have a friend that does work on Wall Street, and they came to Deep Portage as a kid, and they still talk about how fun it was. Yep. They still go fishing because of like their time at Deep Portage. Like they legitimately work on Wall Street big time, and they're like, my trip was amazing there. Like it was awesome to be outside, and that's probably the last time they ever did it, and they still talk about it to this day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and the cool thing is with even going to Forkhorn Camp or any one of the camps that all the learning centers offer is, even with MDHA, we sponsored the trap shooting leagues. A lot of high schools or schools have the trap shooting, and then archery programs. NASP. MDHA sponsors, the local chapters sponsor a lot of those programs, which obviously you guys introduce kids to. Otherwise some of these kids may not know what a bow is, or anything. Because maybe their schools at that certain age may not have that opportunity until they get a little bit older, but then they have NASP in the schools and the trap shooting programs, which is that trap shooting league is that's amazing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because we are a platinum sponsor of the state high school trap
down in Alexandria
and ALEC every year. And I was at that booth last year. It was my first time, and there was a good handful of kids that came up and were familiar with MDHA because they went to Forkhorn Camp. And now they're captain of the trap team or whatever.
And I love the kids walking by, the schools, and you see the logo on their shirts or on their vests or anything that we sponsor their team. Our chapter sponsor that. And then how many kids went to Forkhorn Camp, learn that, discipline. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. We do need to find out a way to, like the European soccer teams, and they've just got like logos across their chest as as if that was their team name.
Yeah.
I think we need to do that.
I bet we can figure something out for sure. Either that or, one thing is, I did notice last year as our kids were at Forkhorn Camp, we went into the store, which was awesome, and I still have the arrowhead that my son picked out. I'm still trying to build an arrow for it because, of course, he bought the largest arrowhead. This thing would take down a mammoth. So he's like, Dad, can you,
might be a spearhead.
Cool. Yeah, Dad, can you build an arrow for this? Let me get a 3/4 inch dowel rod
and a carp spear.
There you go.
Yeah, I could do that. So as I was looking, I was like, yep, we got to get some MDHA stuff in here, some logos, some shirts,
Right, boom.
Yeah, Forkhorn stuff. I don't know.
We got a bunch of inventory from like the 90s that we could send over.
Right. I don't know. We definitely got to promote for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think from this podcast forward, we learned that Neal is going to be offering a wild game cooking class.
Massive
that's
chef.
right.
Massive chef.
So we had a group of girls last year. Is there a Forkhorn 4? And I don't know if you would have the numbers to do it, but they're like, that would be awesome. Kitchen safety wise, I don't know what we could do. We would have to do some disclaimer on here. I can't sign up a bobbity, legally wise, but that would be the next step. That would be awesome.
Wild game home ec.
Well,
that would be so fun.
That's something that I'm hoping we can start doing more of is workshops and seminars. And so we have Tim Kraske.
Yes.
He's a chef.
He's a chef. He submits, wild game recipes to our Whitetails magazine.
Yeah, we've been doing pretty much furs and feathers.
Yep.
Almost every issue lately.
Yep. And how great would it be to get Tim, open it up to the members, and then get Deep Portage and have a wild game cooking workshop, like a weekend.
Right, with a feed at the end. Oh my gosh, I'd go to
feed every meal.
Oh,
just show up for the feed. We don't have to do anything.
Right.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I bet we could videotape it and do a podcast over it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Neal's going to show us how to make duck taste like steak.
That's not that hard. You do it
That's
right.
what he says.
Put it on the cast iron hot for 2 minutes each side. Let that get nice and crisp, almost till it's black. Turn the heat down to low for another minute and a half, and it comes out perfect. Let it sit for 10 minutes. You're ready to go. And there's nothing better than a little Montreal steak.
You heard it here.
My wife has to listen to this episode so she can cook it for me.
Yeah, you got to shoot.
I should have brought. Yeah, I would have brought you a bunch of
true.
stuff. I still got the bunch from last fall. So
Yeah, no doubt. I'd love to try that.
Well, let's see. I done figured out that I'm going to be 14 and I'm going to Forkhorn 3 camp or 15,
you can
whatever.
pass.
So
you might have to shave a little bit.
I think that's a good point. Because does Eagle Bluff do outdoor adult? Are they doing something this year with adults in Forkhorn? Like,
Not that I'm aware
okay,
of.
I think there was some talk.
Could be wrong.
Right, we could be both parents, but I think there was some talk at our last meeting of doing something like this in the future with with parents who didn't have firearm safety who were new to this experience.
So
there
I
was
did
some
talk
talk.
to Colleen about
Yeah,
that. But I don't know that it's happening.
But I don't know if it is. I don't want to make promises, but I think that for people who are interested, we they might be happening within a year.
I think it'd be great. So
Well, we
pretty
should-
much I'm
We
going
can
to
cover
camp.
the whole state.
Yeah. I'm going to camp to learn all this stuff and then learn how to cook. What else was I going to learn?
Oh, you need to learn all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
I
You got
do.
pretty excited about the advanced archery stuff.
Yes. Although
and the bird camp.
the bird camp, the dog training.
Yeah.
That's what I was excited about. And honestly, if you teach people how to fish, because I'm not that good. I mean, I have a boat and I catch fish, but
Well,
You look like a fisherman if you have a boat. You just look the part. That's half the battle.
I got the shirts.
do you know what it takes to catch fish?
Kinda.
Time on the water. And how many days were you on the water last year?
Not enough.
I think you told me 2.
Yeah, it probably was
2 days.
2 for fishing, like a good 5 for playing. I need to do more fishing and less playing. But
Right.
you got to talk to my family about that.
Well, I am taking you guys fly fishing this summer. We'll go up.
I would
up the
love
North
to
Shore.
do that, but I'll probably catch myself.
Oh,
That's
man.
all right.
I used to practice.
It
on the
happens to
road.
everyone at some point.
Yeah, I'm
That
going to
was
catch Jimmy.
hilarious.
You're invited if you want to join.
I'm going to catch Jimmy.
I'll be
in
at
the back
camp.
of if I can catch Jimmy in the back of the head, I'd be happy.
There you go.
I don't even have a fly
we'll
rod.
do our practice. I have like 12.
Boom.
Perfect.
See,
Dude.
that's great.
I hope he knows how to untangle them.
I also have a 3-year-old. Yes, I know how to untangle.
Yeah, that's all we do at camp is untangle fishing rods.
Exactly.
Word.
I have become
That's the
an
biggest thing
expert.
with fishing camp is
Oh
untangling.
my God.
And like it's funny, even Forkhorn kids will show up with that fishing rod just loaded up, all bent up with that crankbait on that
Yeah.
fourth guide. It's like oh, child, please help.
Yeah.
So
And if that's what they get out of it, to me, like I taught you something new. Like I love that aspect of the kid like that like, too. That's part of my favorite thing is showing them how to like hold their line on their fishing line and so it doesn't kill somebody.
It's all about teaching them patience. Sit down and untangle that mess you just made.
Yep.
So I worked a couple summers at Camp Thunderbird in Bemidji, back to Bemidji. And there was a guy there, I'm trying to remember his name now, but he had been their fishing specialist or expert for like 25 years. And that's all he did all summer long was take kids fishing and untie knots.
Oh, yeah.
All summer long for like 25 years. I would go insane.
Oh, yeah. Just when we go camping, Dean, the boys,
Man,
I mean, it's constant.
I'm trying to back the camper up, and he's like, "I got to get out. I got to get out. Where's my fishing rod, dude? It's in the camper. Hold on to the dog for a little bit and just wait. We get the camper unhooked. I got to get my fishing rod, buddy. We're here for 3 or 4 days. Relax. The fish aren't going anywhere. Plus, there's hardly any fish in this lake. Just relax, But oh man, and they fish constantly, which is great. I love it. But somebody's
tangles.
got to come up with a detangler,
Right.
Untangler.
It's called a knife.
Right. Start over. It's called start over.
Free rods.
Tangle-free
for
rods.
hand,
If
but-
somebody can invent a tangle-free
well,
rod,
they have them, but they're for little kids.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
give
mean,
it
when
to
it's
our
in the
kids.
trees and with each other, their buddies' rods.
or they're,
Yeah.
they're switching lures every 2 minutes. I mean, even fish summer fishing.
Well, take
Dad,
that.
I got to do this lure. I got to do this lure. It's like, buddy, just let it breathe.
Take that big ass arrowhead, turn it into a spear, and tell him good luck tangling that, buddy.
Yeah, I'm afraid of what he'll do.
Right.
With that,
His
with
other
that
buddies
spear.
might not be so good.
I tangled my friend's legs together.
Yeah, no doubt. No, that's awesome. But yep, and honestly, turkey hunting down in Deep Portage.
Yeah.
I think we may venture down there.
Well, turkey season is legit right now.
That's true.
Right now, what are we on? C season now?
It starts tomorrow. C season. Yeah.
Well, I'm archery, so
me too.
Yeah, so I'm going down to Brainerd area this week.
I just buy my license. I've never actually turkey hunted.
I could have smoked a suicidal turkey this morning with my truck. I'm like, I had to come to a complete stop. He's just messing with me. I was like, dude. I was like, hey, is he in the ditch yet? He's like, yeah, he's over. Okay. So I could speed up. I was like, man, I could have ate turkey this morning.
Man, I would have tagged it.
Diesel power.
That was quite the swap with Missouri. Like 40 years ago, we gave them like a dozen grouse. They gave us like 20 turkeys. We won that one. We're good for worse. We won that one. There's no grouse left down there.
We love taking advantage of Missouri.
No doubt. They're so easy to take advantage of.
Right. Well, it's misery. What do you do?
Right.
You know? Exactly.
Do it every time.
No, that's awesome. Well, Neal, we appreciate you coming up. This was good information that I honestly didn't know a whole lot about. So
right.
Well, something new every day.
We appreciate everything you do for the youth in the state of Minnesota.
And our kids directly.
Yeah, they'll be there. They'll be there in July.
Yeah, and my nephew will be there in
June.
Yep.
And mine will be there in July in like 8 years.
Boom.
Right.
The kids are why we do it. Of course. I wouldn't be there if the kids are bad. Like no teacher would do that.
Right.
Could take that abuse. But it's just the kids are so fun. They come ready to go. And you see things at camp that it's just summer camp. The kids get in trouble. They're going to do things, and that's okay because we were all 11 and 12 year old at once. Right. Yeah. So it's the mistakes at camp they make that they can learn. It's just a blast. I love it.
That's awesome.
Well, and definitely check into the Outdoor School for All legislation.
Absolutely.
We'll try to figure out if they've figured out the funding for that. Maybe put it in the comment under the.
Yeah, I'll look into it. Well, I'm sure there's a link or something I can include.
But contact your elected officials. Would highly encourage you to encourage them to support passing that legislation.
Exactly.
100%.
So, Neal, how do they find out about Deep Portage?
You can come and visit us. We're open every day, 365 days a year. It is a public land. It's a public venue, so you can come on in and check us out. Of course, we have a website, deepportage.org, with all the good information. I think what do they call it? Instagram and Facebook, Insta-famous or something like that they call it these days. The IG, I don't know what the kids are calling it nowadays. So we do have some really cool trail camera stuff we put up once in a while. So look, we have a YouTube channel for that if you're interested in seeing some cool wildlife.
Cool.
But we also, of course, you can give us a call. We're by the phones during business hours, and would love to talk to you. And if you want to get kids registered for camp, this is the time to do it because it's springtime. So you might know, hey, who's playing soccer? When is the baseball tournament happening? I'll get all those things figured out as your summer plans. Camps are Sunday through Thursday. So it's all on our website, how to get registered. It's all online. So you can kind of follow the directions as they go, and we can get you to camp this summer. That'd be great.
That's awesome.
And then you can also reach out to us and we'll get you in touch with the chapter and maybe set up with a scholarship.
Exactly. Yeah. Make camp really affordable for you.
I get a lot of phone calls from parents who don't know how to do that. And I only say that in a way of like, oh, there's money available, and they're not aware that, hey, any chapter pretty much will give, if they have scholarships, wants you to come to camp. They're not specific. They are and they aren't. They're gonna prefer kids from communities, but I've never had a chapter turn away kids. I've had chapters calling me, hey, do you know, give me some kids and we got this money. So be aware of that if you're listening.
Well, and then the state office.
Yeah, we've got some scholarship funding available as well.
We have donors that donate every year that say, hey, we're going to donate this much money. We want to send kids to Forkhorn Camp.
Yep. And that's just kind of a little bit of
fulfill it.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a cushion if a chapter is like, well, we've tapped out of our Forkhorn funds and then we'll step in and cover the rest.
Yeah.
So.
And our education raffle that we do throughout the year, that really helps.
Yes.
Obviously the chapters send kids, that's where they get a lot of their funding from. So.
Absolutely.
So keep that in mind when you see that out and about. So,
yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thanks, Neal. Thanks,
thank
Jared.
you.
Appreciate it.
Great. Great having you.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you next time, guys.
Have a good one.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and wolf.report proudly sponsor this podcast. However, please note that the opinions, topics, and guests featured may not necessarily align with the views, beliefs, goals, or mission of our sponsors.